Yo, what's up, guys? KikoSuarez here. Welcome back to the 11th episode. Thank you for all the support because I didn't think we were gonna go this far. I want to get to 100 episodes eventually, and I want to start getting a lot more hosts or a lot more guests. To get everything. We already had Rupak, we already have Viejo from the Last Foodie Show, we already have my boy Guaje twice. Guaje will be a staple in this channel. Do not get me wrong, because he's one of my good friends, and I love talking about football with him on the weekly basis. But if you have not yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, and also make sure to follow on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever you get your podcasts. Also make sure to hit the links in the description for TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's jump into this episode of the podcast. I'm recording live on Kik and on TikTok at the moment. So if you've been watching this, do make sure to, when this video drops, to tell me in the comments, because I appreciate you. If you're already here, you're an OG, you're a real one. But let's talk about it. Yesterday, Man City, Champions League winners. Well deserved. I'm not gonna fight it. I'm not gonna disagree with anything. They were the best team this year. They were the overall most dominant team that Guardiola has had ever since the 2009 sextuple winning team with Messi. And I already said in one of my videos that if it wasn't because that team had Lionel Messi, I would argue that this team by Manchester City was better. But again, when you have the best player of all time in your team, that kind of sways the balance. You know what I'm saying? That kind of puts the balance a little bit to that side, because obviously that's going to play a big role into it. But Man City, FA Cup winners, league winners after being trailing Arsenal for most of the season, and now Champions League winners. They win the treble. Pep Guardiola wins his first Champions League ever since leaving Barcelona. So now you can kind of not troll him anymore with it, like, oh, you cannot do it with Barca, you cannot do it without Messi. Obviously, he spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money. They spent over 1.5 billion, I believe it was, ever since he took over, and overall the situation has been improve after season after season after season, to the point that now they're a force. I believe is 6 Premier Leagues in the last 8 years, 3 at the back. It could have been 6 in a row if it wasn't because Liverpool got right in the middle of it. Who's stopping them now? Because they already got over that hump. They already got over the hump of just... Wait. Fabricio just tweeted it? Fabricio just tweeted what? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything on the chat. Love bro. Why is it like... Alright, cool. Never mind. I thought I missed something like breaking news on the chat. But now that they got over the hump. Now that they got over the hump of that Champions League. Because ever since they lost against Chelsea, you know that hurt them. Psychologically in the project, they're like, we were there. But now they got Haaland. He invented this new formation, the 3-2-4-1. It's insane. Stones playing at midfield. Walker being a right back or being a center back, depending on the game. Gundogan looking like one of the best players of all time. One of the most clutch players of all time. Haaland just breaking records left, right, and center. And if you didn't watch his interview with Thierry Carger and the CNBC or the CBS crew, that man is going to be scary. Because he said, he was asking Henry, hey, Henry, what can I do better? What can I learn? He said, like, dude, if you can learn to hit with your right, it will be over. And Haaland just looked at him and just said to the crew, just like, yeah, no, guys, like, why are you laughing? Because when you guys were 22 years old and you look back to what you did, don't you think that you have improved? So I can already see myself looking back when I'm 26, 27, and I look back to my decision making and my thinks and everything, I will be better. I'm like, oh, it's done for. It is done for if that's that kid's mentality. Because I can already see Haaland, if this season, what's his first season, getting acclimated to the Manchester City team in the Premier League, and he already did whatever he wanted with the Premier League. Imagine 2 seasons, 3 seasons from now, when he already knows everyone and everything. Oh, it's gonna be insane. And more if Guardiola is still their manager by that point. But again, Manchester City, Champions League winners, well deserved. Congratulations to them. I'm not salty. Some Real Madrid fans, some Barcelona fans, they think it's why do we live vicariously through another team? No, I'm not gonna. I wasn't hating on City at all. I never did. I had them as one of my favorites with Bayern, Manchester City, and Real Madrid as the favorites to win the Champions League. Guess what? It hit. So I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. Now I want to talk about the league winners. Bayern Munich wins their league. We talked about that with Guaje in the last episode. If you want to go check it out. Manchester City winning the Premier League. Arsenal crumbling. I cannot lie. I expected that from the very beginning. At no point did I think Arsenal had it in the bank. At no point did I think Arsenal were the true leaders. At no point did I think Arsenal were the true unrivaled favorite. At no point did I think Arsenal was going to do it. And I was right. Every other week I was saying, like, Arsenal won. City hasn't lost. Hey, Arsenal pulled a miraculous tie against Southampton. City hasn't lost. They're not dropping points. You guys are. So what does that tell you? The slowly but surely, that little train that believed that they could is still there. It's still doing whatever they want. And they will get to that point that they're just going to be able to win you. And what did they do? They won the league. Surprise, surprise. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, wins their second league in a row. Mbappe, player of the season. Mbappe, top goal scorer of the season. The whole situation with Messi, crazy. I will talk about Messi to the Inter Miami in a second. But overall, Lens and Lyon, that league, dude, is the same thing as Germany. Whenever PSG and Bayern have a slow season, the other teams, they show how possibly good they are, how high their quality is. And Borussia Dortmund could have done it. It was in their hands. It was in their control to win the league. And they bottled it, which is insane in my mind that somehow, some way, you let it escape. Like, it wasn't like you depended on Bayern to lose and then you win it. You could have easily just won. You just needed to win. Like, it still baffles me that they didn't do it. But the same idea, PSG, at one point or another, we had Lyon and Lens looking like they were going to win. And PSG just kept being that little force that they just kept winning games. And the other teams started crumbling. Because those leagues, if you don't watch those leagues, you would think, oh, like, they're just farmers, blah, blah, blah. The Premier League mentality. No, they're good. They're competitive between each other. But guess what? When you have that one team that is just a tad bit better, City, they're just going to end up winning every single game and someone will crumble. And that's what happened in PSG. Barcelona dominated from top to bottom, dominated from the beginning to the end. I did not fight it. I even said at the beginning of the season, Barcelona will probably win the league just because they have the Xavi mentality. They had the squad depth. And I didn't think they were going to perform well in the Champions League. And I was right. When they went to the Europa League, I thought they were going to do the double and win the Champions League. But injuries were not fair to them. So once they got out of pretty much every competition besides La Liga and the Europa League, or in Copa del Rey, they just focused on that. And then once they got out of the Copa del Rey by us, they just were cruise control. And that they already had enough points in the league to, like, not worry about it. So it is what it is. Napoli, historic season. The Serie A, they win their first title in like 20 years, ever since the Maradona time. Osimhen, insane. Cavaradona, insane. One of the best duos, if not the best duo in the season. Some people might argue. I think KDB and Haaland and Vinicius and Benzema were more dangerous. If it wasn't because Benzema was injured so much, they probably would have secured that title. But also, there's always Haaland and KDB, which is insane. But congratulations to all the winners this season. It's the beautiful thing about the leagues that after the Champions League is over, you get to look back into it and see how historic and how every single thing played out. And now when you look backwards, you can say that, oh, like, City never stopped. Like, there's no wonder. Like, the Champions League was the cherry on top that capitalized or finished a beautiful, beautiful season by them. And those were all the league winners. Messi to Inter Miami. Insane. if you've been on Twitter a lot, you've been like, oh, we were in the MLS at 35. That's such a ridiculous thing, but I love how CRFC and Messi FC are just petty. They try to out-petty each other at all times because, yes, Ronaldo was in Juventus at 35 years old and he was really good. Let's not pretend that he wasn't the fastest player in Serie A history to get 100 goals and the top goal scorer in the last decade for Juventus. But still, it's situationship. It matters. Context matters. Me personally, the only thing that I don't like about Messi FC and CRFC that they don't keep it consistent. They don't keep the same argument. And they don't keep the same slander for both sides when one does something and the other one doesn't. Like the idea that Messi went there is going out unscathed when he had the Saudi one. Barcelona, by the way, is in shambles. How do you let your best player of all time wanting to come back, your greatest player of all time wanting to come back, and you don't take him? Like, you move mountains and do everything for him, but it seems like it was just a lie. It was just a smoke mirror that Laporta was trying to play so he could, A, get the fans on his side, and B, try to move the money and get the marketing and everything again. It's unrealistic, and I feel bad for Messi and Barcelona fans because I'm pretty sure both parties wanted to do it. It was just the board that really, really sucked. But Messi to Inter Miami, that is one of the best contracts marketing-wise and brand deals in history. You're talking about he's going to get money from Apple TV because the MLS is owned by the Apple TV pack. So you have to get Apple TV, and then you have to get the MLS pack through Apple TV to get to watch it. So that's gonna be something. Adidas themselves getting their best player or their most lucrative player in an Adidas shirt means that like, hey, we're gonna pay you money in Inter because that's gonna help our brand. So that's another thing. And then most teams in the MLS will provide money for Messi to be able to play. His contract is not that big compared to what the Saudis were gonna put him, because that was gonna be $1.2 billion in I believe it was a 3-year contract. Meanwhile, the MLS will pay him $150 million for 3 years, but that's because that's the money amount. We don't know what the Apple TV, the MLS, the Adidas contract might be. So, well, when everything's said and done, he might reach the $1.2 billion. And also, he gets to live in Miami Beach, rather than being in Saudi Arabia, which, at the end of the day, I don't know Saudi Arabia. I've never been. It looks beautiful, but at the same time, cultural differences and everything might have played a role. And the fact that Antonella and his family wanted to move to Miami rather than Saudi. Speaking of Saudi, Benzema and Kante to Saudi Arabia. As a Madrid fan, as you guys know, does it hurt? Yeah, I am sad. But at the same time, he's old. Benzema was old, and he is being injury riddled this whole time. And the fact that he's gonna get, I believe, is $100 million per season for the next 3 years, it's insane. We are in a whole situation that we don't know what's gonna happen in Real Madrid. Supposedly we're getting Kane. Supposedly we're only gonna get Jose Lu. Supposedly we're only gonna get we might go for Mbappe, but then you have Florentino Perez on the street saying like, oh, we're getting Mbappe, but not this season though. I'm like, why? We need him. Just freaking, we haven't spent money in so long. The only big money that we did was for Tchouaméni, and that's because Casemiro left. We got paid 80 million, and then and we paid the 100 million for Tchouaméni. So technically, it was just a wash of 20 million. Spend the money, Florentino. Spend the money. We need Mbappe. I don't care that he's going to come on a free next year. We need Mbappe. We need Kane. We need all these players. I know you're spending 100 million on Bellingham. Do another Galacticos. We need this because after that game against Manchester City, I hope that Florentino realized just like, okay, we're staying behind. Like our three-peat and everything era was fantastic, but we need to spend money. We need to spend money, and we have the money. So why are we not doing it? But Benzema, again, going back to him, he's going to probably dominate because you're talking about he's only 35, about to turn 36, or he might be 36 and going to be turning 37. Overall, we're looking at a player, the current Ballon d'Or holder. He's going to be really, really good. And he's going to probably be the top goal scorer at one point, or he's going to go back to what he does best, which is score every now and then but create chances for his teammates. And they already have the top goal scorer of the Saudi League in that team. So he'll probably play a second fiddle. But by second fiddle, I mean that he's going to be the best player of the team. He's just going to be creating and attracting, and his movement alone is going to be a lot of freedom to the top goal scorer, which I forget what his name is. But speaking of Sarri and his teammates, Kante, N'Golo Kante, yes, Mr. I run a lot and have 3 lungs. He's also supposedly going to be joining Al Ittihad. And Al Ittihad with Benzema, Kante, and already being the winners, I could not, unless Al Hilal, now that they're not getting Messi, they get another player, or Al Nasser gets more people to create chances for Ronaldo, or get another big player to join Ronaldo. I'm pretty sure Al Ittihad is going to go back to back. On a caveat, I do see the Saudi league becoming a force in the next 5 years, because with this amount of money, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, they're just buying old players, though. They're just buying old players. Like, why does that matter? It's just marketing move. They're paying a lot of money. Let me repeat that. They're paying a lot of money. So imagine the Saudis saying, like, hey, yeah, no, we don't have the marketing. We might not have the best quality, but we have the biggest banking history, being the oil machine that we are, that we can pay whatever. But you think you want to be in the Prem? And they're gonna pay you $50 million a year. We'll pay you $200 if you play with us. There's a lot of players that, even though they love the game, they do it for a job. And if they're able to secure that amount of money already, they're gonna do it. Remember when Oscar, he was up and coming, about to break through. He was already making a name in Chelsea. He left. Why? Because the Chinese pay him a lot of money. So if the Saudi can start doing that, they already got the big names. They already got Benzema. They already got Ronaldo. They got Kante. There's a lot more players that are gonna start going to the Saudi league. Supposedly Modric is going. Supposedly Ramos might be going. Supposedly Busquets might be going if he doesn't join Messi in Inter Miami. Supposedly Jordi Alba might be going. Those type of players getting that type of money at that age is gonna start swaying the young players, being like, legacy or my family for generations is gonna be set. You see what I'm saying? You gotta think about those things when it comes down to players, because the players, like just like you and me, they're people. They're people. They're doing this not because of the sake of the love and everything. They did it. They work all their life to get the opportunity to not having to work and worry ever again. Some of you say, like, oh, but that's not the love of the game and everything. They should just play and try to achieve everything. Stop it. Stop it. If your employer, if you're with a team that you love, right, and you're pursuing your career, and this new company shows up and be like, hey, we love how you do it. How about we quadruple your earnings, your contract, and all you have to do is change companies. You would do it in a second. You would do it on a heartbeat, right? So don't judge these players for doing the exact same thing in football. Oh, but they love the game. Money's ruined football. Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. Let them be. Let them get that back, because they don't care what little Timmy, what Kiko, what freaking Twitter minions are saying. You know what they care about? Putting food on the table. Making sure that everyone, no matter what, in the close connections to them, they can be good, they can be safe, they can be worry-free, that they can help their countries. That kind of impact with the money that they get is gonna be 10x having the most goals in the Premier League or anything like that. And also, there's a lot of players that are already in that path. But if you're telling me Kane, right? I think Kane is projected to beat or break the goal scoring record at the Premier League in the next 2 seasons if he stays. Don't tell me that the second he breaks it, he's just not gonna just dip and get that money by Saudi. If he doesn't leave for Real Madrid right now, what makes you think that he doesn't care about anything that is not individual now, and then he's just gonna leave? Let's be honest. I already mentioned Sergio Ramos leaving PSG. That whole PSG situation, you guys remember when they announced Ramos, Messi, Donnarumma, which now Doom and everything, they basically thought that playing Ultimate Team in real life was gonna be enough to win the league. And as we all know, that's not how it works. It's buying those players, buying those team or buying those key pieces to make your team play better, and win you games is what matters. PSG was a marketing move, was a brand move, and it failed. Having Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar playing together, even though it was flashy and us as fans were entertained by looking at it, was never gonna win them the Champions League. Was never gonna win them they were already winning the Ligue 1 before Messi and all of them showed up. Obviously, their idea was winning the Champions League, but every time push came to shove, those three players up front, you're talking about defending with 8 in the back, right? Because there's 11 players. Those 3 will stay on top. They will not defend, they will not track back. And what happens with that? You're already at a disadvantage. Because if you play a Bayern Munich, if you play a Real Madrid, if you play a team like that, that ruined it. Because those teams, they were already in that situation. They were already in that role. So that just did not make sense. It was a failure of a program. It was a failure of an achievement. Yes, they won the Ligue 1. They won the Coupe de France and everything. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Next thing was the Serie A, a smoke screen. Smoky mirrors. We had an Italian team in every single final. They had an Italian team in every single final. We had an Italian team in the Europa League. That was Roma against Sevilla. We had an Italian team, West Ham versus Fiorentina. And of course, we had Inter versus Manchester City. And it is crazy to say that Inter had the best performance out of all of them, and it was against Manchester City that was arguably going to be the most lopsided final out of all of them. Because Sevilla versus Roma, Roma played the way that Roma plays, the most Mourinho way ever. They scored early, they parked the bus, Sevilla scored, call it quits because they went to penalties. Fiorentina versus West Ham, that was a very even game, but West Ham scored at the very last minute with Bowen, which it was a fantastic story because that's the best way that Declan Rice could have finished his career there. And then we have Inter versus Manchester City. This is why I always say, and this has always been my argument, the league that wins the title is the league that was best represented. This season, you have 2 teams from the Premier League winning titles and 1 from La Liga. What does that tell you? Doesn't matter at what point you are, doesn't matter where you are, the conference leagues, which are your mid-table teams, Premier League has that winning. You have the top 8 being the Europa League, Sevilla. Sevilla got that secure, even though Sevilla was a relegation team this whole season. Then you have the top 4, your big teams. Manchester City won it. So you're talking about on the top, we have City showing that they have the quality. On the middle, we have La Liga showing that their league is deep. And in the bottom, you have the Premier League again showing that their league actually has a league team. Which has always been the way that I break it down for the Real Madrid and everyone win the Champions League a lot. But let's move the conversation to Europa League. You still have La Liga teams dominating that, right? For the last 20 years. Now you have the Conference League to make a competition for your even smaller teams. And of course, this is the first time that we could have had a treble. We could have had a simple dominance by the Serie A saying like, hey, we back. We back, baby. But that wasn't the case. It was a bunch of just lucky competitions or a lucky run to the final. And then you had the Premier League and La Liga on the other side saying like, no. You were competing on that side, but when push came to shove, our teams are still representing your teams. They were just there to compete. So I believe, is the Serie A considered the third best league this season? They should be. They should be considered because they have representation in every single final. La Liga should be considered second because we have Sevilla making it to the final. And then you have the Premier League as the number 1 this season because they had 2 winners. And it's crazy to think that Bayern and the Bundesliga teams were doing really, really good at the beginning of the season. But guess what? No representation in the finals and no competition, and they didn't make it far. So why does it matter, right? Why does it matter? So we have the Premier League this season as the best league, La Liga as the second, Serie A as the third, and Bayern Munich or the Bundesliga as the fourth, and tied with Liga 1 because both of them didn't do much. All right, and then to finish this podcast, the NBA Finals, and also I'm gonna talk about the UFC because yesterday. Let me talk about the UFC 289 first. Amanda Nunes retires as the GOAT of women's fighting. She beats Aldana by decision, and then after that he just says, I'm still and forever will be the women's champion, but I'm calling it quits. I'm pretty sure the fact that she won by decision was a reason why she called it quits, because she's no longer dominating the way she was beforehand. I feel like that was just a thing that it's been bothering her. After she lost her title against Peña, she gained it back, rightfully so, because I feel Peña just won by a fluke, because she survived the first round, and then her cardio just showed while Amanda looked sick. I think it was a adrenaline dump, which is crazy to say for Amanda Nunes. But she came back. She got it back. She got her 2 titles back, and then she's retiring on top. Arguably, if it wasn't because we have a division between women's and men's fighters, and obviously the men are just going to be biologically stronger and more dominant, Amanda Nunes is on that Mount Rushmore between John St. Pierre, John Jones, Anderson Silva, Conor McGregor, Habib, and Amanda Nunes. All those pioneers are the reasons why this league or the UFC is being reaching the levels that they are, and now they're doing even better. Now let's talk about the NBA Finals. Jokic, Murray are going crazy. Jokic is the most dominant player and the best player in the world. Let's not pretend about it. Jamal, Iverson, Johnson, Curry, Murray going crazy. Bro, what can I say? Jimmy Butler with his ankle is showing that he's not going to be able to take over the games like he could. Caleb Martin is going back to be a role player. Max Struz is not hitting his shots. Kyle Lowry is just Kyle Lowry. And Bam Adebayo is doing his thing. But if you don't have a second fiddle to defeat or to neglect Jamal Murray or Jokic numbers, you're just going to lose. And realistically, tomorrow is Game 5. 3-1, I think it's done for. I think the Nuggets are going to be the winners of the NBA Finals. But yeah, there's not much to say after that. We've been recording for 27 minutes. It's going to be a short podcast today, but that's just because I'm recording live and I got to do some things. But besides that, I appreciate you all. Thank you for listening, watching, and liking whatever you are. Make sure to subscribe to Kiko's Corner, like on Spotify, and on Apple Music or whatever you do it. Follow the TikTok, follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram, and don't gotta do stuff. And also follow the Kick. We're starting to take over there. But besides that, I appreciate you, and peace.